Hi, I'm Sarah Hake. I graduated from Grinnell in 1975. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, my life at Grinnell, and what I did afterwards as we walk around the farm. I was born in Iowa and spent my first 10 years there just south of Grinnell in Knoxville. My family moved to California in 1962 and we quickly fell in love with the Sierras and the ocean. I still had family in Iowa, grandparents, and their extended family, and one of them said they hoped I wouldn't turn out like one of those Grinnell girls. Well, it was 1970 and that sounded intriguing. I was also living in the San Francisco Bay Area where you can drive to wherever you want and you end up driving all the time. So the thought of a small town in Iowa without a car seemed like a great change. My grandparents lived in Des Moines and being close to them sealed the deal. Although I had to quickly write home for more warm clothes, I learned to appreciate the wilderness in the middle of Iowa, along the railroad tracks and the biopreserve. We ventured up to White Pine Hollow for camping, even in the winter. I also learned that Iowa is not flat when I took my bike out of town with the wind at my back and then had to return home. I loved the fact the city came to Grinnell. The concerts, the movies. We didn't have to organize cars and parking to enjoy the city world. Most of all, I loved my fellow students. I met my husband dissecting a fetal pig. I'd actually eyed him earlier and schemed to be his lab partner. We married at the end of the 4 years at Grinnell, making our wedding party a big gathering for our dearly beloved friends. Many of us had been roommates or shared a house during our years at Grinnell. The last summer of Grinnell, we rented a farmhouse outside of town. I don't remember the name, but it was pretty funny. It had an outhouse and we put in a big garden and some of us painted houses. It was one of the best summers of our lives, enjoying our friendship before we all took off in different directions. As the years passed, our reunions would be farther spaced apart, but we're always instantly on the same page. I fell in love with plant biology, taking the plant taxonomy course taught by Vern Durkee. We had a field trip to St. Louis to visit the botanical garden, and there that visit introduced me to Washington University, where I ended up doing my PhD. I thought I would study alpine flora in the high Sierras, but instead I fell in love with maize and learned about the chromosomes and the architecture of the maize genome. From there I met Mike Freeling, who was giving a talk at the WashU seminar series, and he introduced me to genetics, the awesome power of genetics, APOG. I got a job in Berkeley with the university there, and as an ARS employee, Agriculture Research Service, worked for 40 years in Berkeley. Having gone to Grinnell, I identify as a Grinnellian. When I meet a fellow Grinnellian in the science world, we instantly share a bond. When a Grinnell student applies to UC Berkeley, where I am adjunct professor, I seek them out immediately. Grinnell students stand out. They're distinct, they're memorable. I think the most telling moment about Grinnell is when I went back to Grinnell after 20 years to give a talk. The faculty there invited me for dinner, and they remembered more about me than I did. They remembered the courses I took, who I was good friends with, and the path I took. I don't think I've ever paid that kind of attention to UC Berkeley students. So Grinnell is an amazing place. It will do you well, and as it did me, and I wish the very best for your future.